continue to make sure that the people that need to hear us must hear us. It doesn't matter how they try to cover us up. It doesn't matter how they try to shadow ban us. It doesn't matter how they try to attack us, discourage us, fight us on different angles. Both the fight that is coming within and the fight that is coming from outside, we will never stop. Even if it is one person remaining to talk to, we will speak to that one person to talk to another one person, that other one person will talk to another one person, and before you know it, thousands will get the message. That is why we're here. We continue to present Biafra as the only remedy to the failed state, Nigeria. Nigeria is a failed state. It is no longer something that is hidden. It is no longer a secret. Neither is it called a propaganda. Nigeria is a failed state. All it takes is for you to go and make your verification by your own self. Go on your own and make verification. Whatever you find, make do with it. But as for us, we will continue to speak. It does not matter what they do. No amount of attack, no amount of discouragement will make us to stop talking. If that is the only thing we will do, we will continue to talk so that the world will continue to hear our voice. And the earth will bear us witness that we spoke when it was time to speak. We did. The earth will bear us witness. Our forefathers will bear us witness. Nature will bear us witness that we have spoken. That is why we will continue to speak at every given point in time, in any opportunity that we have. So in this platform, you are all welcome, regardless your tribe. Whatever be your tribe, it doesn't matter. Your location, your race, your identity, your ideology, your religion, it doesn't matter to us. If you care about humanity, you are welcome. If you have a contrary opinion from what we are saying or from what we have, feel free to send a request. I will bring you in to give your opinion. And we will listen to you and ask you questions where necessary. We are not here to force anybody to believe what we say. We are not here to stifle anybody. Neither are we here to force anybody to listen. No. Whatever you do with information remains on you. All we have to do is to broaden the argument, open up the discussion so that we can discuss deeply and see things from other perspectives, not only from one side. You must not agree with me in everything I say. Likewise, myself, I must not agree with you in all that you have to say. My purpose of anchoring this program is to allow people to air their opinion. Feel free to disagree. Click the link, come in, disagree, and make sure you have genuine point, a convincing point, because the world is listening. Those who are not Biafrans are listening. Whatever information you pass online, you can't imagine how far it gets. Do not judge because of the few people you see when you are watching the program. Do not judge because you feel that you're just alone. You are not alone. Thousands of people who are not even Biafran are watching our program to get information on what we are doing and what we look like. Just like we are crying and seeking for recognition, if we must be recognized, just like every other human being, before you recognize a thing, you must know what that thing is made of. You must know what that thing has to offer. You must know the importance of that before you begin to recognize. That is why it's essential that we discuss, we speak, and we allow people also to air their opinion. Allowing people to air their opinion will give us the opportunity to explain more for those who do not understand. In the process, people can equally go back home, think and think properly. I don't end my program and don't go to sleep. My program, I rewatch it after doing it, so that I can go through the questions that were asked, both on the comment section and comments that were made. Then compare it to what I already know to be the fact. Dig deep more so that I can have the confidence to be able to answer questions when no questions comes up. So I welcome every one of you wherever you are watching from. If you are watching us from Biafra land, You're watching from Nigeria, from Africa, from Asia, Europe, America, Australia, Canada. You're watching from New Zealand. You're watching us from Ukraine. You're watching from Iran. Whichever part of the world you're watching from Israel, I welcome you to this platform. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Accept my greetings according to your time zone. I bet you we are still in the mood of the remembrance of our heroes. We are still very much in the mood of the remembrance of our heroes. And it is very important that we continue to put them in the front line and make sure that they are remembered. We must not allow our heroes to be forgotten. And why the Nigerian governments, our enemies and the British are fighting so hard to change narrative, it is important we keep history alive with facts and figures. That is why it is important that this time we are supposed to continuously remembering them. Those who are against us know the importance of remembrance. And that is why, in this time of remembrance, they lined up series of programs to change narrative. You can see how they lined up their program, attacking the remembrance of our heroes. They lined up series of programs, starting from Gowon lying script. The book of Gowon that filled with lies was launched just close to the Remembrance Day. And on the 1st, just today, very early in the morning today, the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, released their documentary. And as always, in that documentary, I have it here. If there is time today, I will play it. If I don't play it today, by tomorrow, I will use it for a complete program. But if you have time, go and study that very documentary they released. You can still see their lies. In all the documentary that they play, that is why you say they do not have that. They do not have that. How do I say it? They don't have that. They don't have that order, that authority to begin to present the issue of Biafra. They don't have that right. Yes, they don't have that morality. That is the word. The word is morality. They do not have that moral standard to begin to present the Biafran story. The British don't have that morality. So when you watch that story, if you see how the stories, the documentary started, it always started from blame. They continue to blame the Biafran people for the civil war. When you watch how they started the documentary, it was still on the blame. It started with telling you that the civil war was because many northern leaders were killed during the 1960s coup. That because of that, it led to the anger of the North. They're going back to war. But that is not the case. That is a pure lie. They are always trying to paint the Biafrans to be the aggressors, to change narrative. But when you see how they started it, the proper way to start it is to explain what transpired. The coup they are even calling a war is not a coup. It is not a coup. It's not even an Igbo war. It was something that was organized by the young officers of Nigeria. Young military officers of Nigeria. And people died from all sections. Even an Igbo man was killed in that war. Colonel Unegbe was killed in that war. It wasn't only the Northerners. In that very revolution. They call it a coup. It is not even, it's a revolution conducted by military officers from different regions. It has nothing to do with Igbos. But when you see in that documentary, the way they started it, they just cut it off and started from the Civil War. And they forgot to say that immediately after that revolution that they claimed that were killed, there was a counter coup. And in that counter coup, thousands of Igbo officers were massacred in cold blood. Thousands of Igbo officers from the Biafran region were massacred in the counter coup. They didn't stop at that. They went ahead in pogrom to take the life of innocent people. Innocent people. And yet, these people were not satisfied. They were not satisfied. They went ahead to bring a war after our eternal Dim Odubegoju made every effort, including taking them to another country, Ghana to be precise, to go and reach an agreement. He did everything to see that Nigeria is preserved. He did everything to see that there is no civil war. What he was trying to do is to make sure there is a Nigeria where there will be equality. The same restructuring that people are fighting day in, day out was what our eternal leader take them to Aburi to discuss, to make sure there is no war, to prevent war. But when you go to that very documentary, there was no illustration on that part. They will always, in all their documents, they will always silence the real story. They will make it silence. And when you look at the documentary, the major speaker on that documentary was a Nigerian soldier. A Nigerian soldier who participated in that very civil war, which I know his opinion about Biafra. And this very soldier who they used in that very program, his mother is from the north. His mother is from the north. And his father is from Niger Delta. And somebody with such kind of identity could have a questionable loyalty. And these are the people that are easily bought to change narrative or to speak in the way that will please the colonial master. So when you see the actors that are in that very documentary, obviously you know what is coming. That is why we are saying that the BBC do not have the morality to show any documentary or to show any movie on the Biafra war that will be credible. It can never happen. They will not be credible. If you watch fully, I am going to do a program on that. There was a section where they tried to paint us as aggressors, including trying to paint the figure that the Biafrans were against their own brothers inside Biafra land. There was a place they brought out a woman who claimed to be from the Niger Delta, but she was serving in the Nigerian army. She joined the Nigerian people to fight against Biafra. And the reason she gave was that the Biafran soldiers burned her family house with her grandmother inside. A story we have heard over and over that cannot be substantiated. And we know that during this civil war, there were false flags conducted by Nigeria. The same false flag they are doing today was done during the civil war, where Nigerian soldiers, they went and wore Biafran uniform to conduct pogrom in Biafran territory to make our brothers feel that the Biafran soldiers are fighting against them. That was really what transpired. This story has been silenced. Nobody speaks about it. And in that you see, when you listen to you see how they use that woman to create a narrative that shows that we, more especially the Igbos, we are not in good terms with that. It was the soldiers fighting alongside with Ojukwu that went against their own people, that made people to betray. But that was not the truth. That was not the truth. The truth remained that there was false flag conducted by Nigerian military. Nigerian military were attacking the Biafran people with Biafran uniform. People in the river area that they call Nigeria today, to make them feel that the people in the mainland, the Igbos, were using Biafra against them. But that story, nobody wants to substantiate on it. They don't want to blow it up. When you listen at the program, when you listen at the documentary component, you will see that they still try to make sure that the blame remains on the side of the Biafrans. They try to make it feel that the blame remains on the Biafrans. That Ojukwu was the one who was pushing for the war. But that is not the truth. Ojukwu was the one that took a major step. Even there was a place where Ojukwu was speaking and he said that the Biafran soldiers were fighting reluctantly because they were not willing to go for that war. They were fighting reluctantly. If Ojukwu never believed that Gowon is going to come for war against the Biafran people. But he did. And all we are fighting for was for self-defense. But in that very program, when you watch it, the documentary that the BBC released this morning, I was able to watch it before I came online, and I'm going to watch it again, and then I will do a program with it tomorrow by Grace of Chukwu. I'll conduct a program with it, so that we can break that very program that they did bit by bit. Because when you see these people, the way they create their narrative, you don't just watch and focus on the emotional side. When you look at the end of the program, there were so much emotion, people crying about the death of the people, Biafran children and all that crying. But from the beginning, they have already created a picture. From the beginning of the program, they have already created a picture showing that we are to be blamed. That the Biafrans are to be blamed. That we are the ones to take the blame. And at the end, you see them sharing crocodile tears, many emotions flowing on the death of. These are strategies on how they push narrative to distort history. These are the narrative, the way they create narrative to destroy history. So whenever you are watching such documentary, don't be carried away. Do not be carried away. That is why it is important to pay attention to history. Pay attention to information. Chukwu Okike by his grace made our general to keep wonderful information and details for us. Many transcripts, many evidence on video, we have it in place. So whenever we see such kind of distorted documentary, we are not moved. All we need to do is to follow it up, explain what transpired, the truth and nothing but the truth. Because I said it before this was released, we are saying that they have no moral right to release it because we know what was coming. And still yet, what we were suspecting was still what happened. They think they are intelligent, but they are not. When you listen carefully on that documentary, for anybody who doesn't know the true story of Biafra and what transpired, from how they started it to how they ended, at the end of the day, you will blame Biafra for what they faced. You are going to blame Biafra. You are going to blame Maitan for majority part of what happened. But that is not the truth. That picture is a wrong picture. Starting from the beginning of the war. The problem of Nigeria itself did not even start from didn't start from 1960 coup. It did not start from 1960 coup. They killed us in 1945. What transpired during 1945? What transpired? When Ahmadu Bello said that they do not trust us, we are not one people, the coup has not happened. When Ahmadu Bello said they will not allow anybody from the south, more especially the Igbo people, when he was asked, why are you so obsessed about the Igbos? Ahmadu Bello was asked, why are you so obsessed about the Igbos? Why are you so obsessed? What did he say? Ahmadu Bello did not say we took anything from him. Ahmadu Bello did not say we stole their land. Ahmadu Bello did not say we occupied their land. He did not say we are terrorizing them. He only said that we are domineering. That when you keep us down, we cannot stay down. When you keep us in a level camp, that we might to be a hero. How is that a crime? He was only complaining about our resilience, our hard work. That is what they saw as a problem. That is what they said. Our successful, the way we succeed through hard work. How is that a problem? And before the revolution that they called a civil war, that they nicknamed Igbo coup. They nicknamed it Igbo coup. Before that coup, there has been problem politically, just like Nigerian government politics have decayed today. Just like what you are seeing in Nigerian politics today, looting, right, left, and center, fraud, everywhere. That was what was still going on then. And the young officers, not Igbos, young officers, in their project and plan for that very revolution, there is nothing called Biafra. There was no project for Igbo. In fact, that very revolution should probably be called a revolution for the Yorubas. Because the man that was meant to be the president is a Yoruba man. It was a revolution to favor the Yorubas. and place Awolowo as a president, then how do you now translate it to be an Igbo coup? There were people from different regions involved in it. But the same BBC was used to preach that war as a civil war. But today, they are not even taking responsibility. Neither are they apologizing. They are going ahead to release a documentary framing us to be because of the war, framing us to be blamed for the war. That is unacceptable, and we will never, ever, ever accept it. And when you watch it and the people who they used on that very documentary, you equally know what happened. If you want to conduct a proper documentary, there are people in the thousands of people that are still alive. We have Biafran soldiers. In this, our Remembrance did. I showed a video of Biafran soldiers. They are in thousands. Child soldiers who fought through the civil war. They are still alive. You need to meet them to tell you what they saw. You need to meet them to tell you what they saw within the Biafran territory and in the hand of the Nigerian military. It is not something you go and interview one officer that was used by the Nigerian government that has his mother from the north, and he has his father from the north and his mother from the southwest, from Niger Delta, and you think you can use that very person to conduct a credible interview that can be able to be favorable. There are certain people we see in the program who already know that this is a written script to achieve a certain purpose. There are people, once you come into a program that's being conducted, there are identities you will see already, even before they begin to speak. You already know where they're going. All you need to do is to just be calm and watch. Gradually, they come out, and you see them. They will arrive at that point where you are talking. So, if you have not watched that documentary that was released this morning, go and watch it, so that when we start trashing it tomorrow, when we start putting it to pieces tomorrow, you can be able to understand better. This is why remembrance is very important. Remembrance is very important, and no amount of propaganda or blackmail will make us to walk away from remembering our heroes. We will continue to remember, no matter what the enemies are doing, no matter what they say, no matter their propaganda, we will always remember. So this morning, we have come once again to look into a certain issues. And the title we are using this morning, remember, Monday is always special. If not that we are still in the mood of the remembrance of our heroes, Monday precisely is supposed to be a sit at home. Many of us, and I bet you, today there are still people sitting at home and observing the Monday. Biafrans are still sitting. The remembrance has not finished. I can bet you throughout July, we are still going to be in that mood. So this morning we are discussing with the topic which says, Aftermath, Remembrance Day. Aftermath of the Remembrance Day. Why Abuja is chasing agitators? Why terrorists roam free? Why is Abuja chasing agitators? Why terrorists roam free? Aftermath, remembrance. After Biafra, remembrance. Why Abuja? Why is Abuja chasing agitators? Why terrorists roam free? This is a very important topic, and we are going to do justice, because at this time in the mood of remembrance, no stone will be left untouched. After the remembrance, unity, security, and the future of the conversation. In a nutshell, that is what we are going to discuss today. And I want you to pay close attention. Participate in the discussion. You can put down your own suggestions, contributions on the comment section. You can put down where you're watching us from, write the location where you're watching us from. You can send in your requests where possible. I will bring you in to air your opinion when the time comes. We have to take this discussion as much as we can this very morning, because Monday remains special for us. We are still in the mood of remembrance. After the remembrance, unity, security, and the future of the conversation. Once again, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Joining us from around the world, wherever you are joining from, I welcome you to this very program. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast, even in the mood that we are. Today we are reflecting on aftermath of the 30th Biafran Remembrance Day. We will discuss what was achieved, the lessons that can be learned, the importance of unity among those who support the Biafran cause, and the broader conversation about security, governance, and political priority in Nigeria. As always, I encourage everyone to participate respectfully in the comment section. Whether you agree or disagree, this platform will discussion, dialogue, and thoughtful engagement. Before we begin, please take a moment to like the screen. Share this very program if you have not done so. Like and share with others. In your WhatsApp group, in your social media handles, to family and friends, share with them. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. Today is not simply about looking back. It is about looking forward. It is about asking important questions. What did May 30th reveal? What did May 30th reveal? We waited for the Sokoto Declaration and it came. Many of you, I don't know how many of you have been able to study the Sokoto Declaration properly. I am still going to do a program on that. I'm still going to do a full program on the Sokoto Declaration. But in a nutshell, when you look at the Sokoto Declaration, our supreme leader, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, remained the advocate of peace, calling for the unity of the Biafrans, and also calling the attention of the international community and also other regions in Nigeria to unite together to end the enslavement that everybody is in. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu agenda for freedom is not just for Biafrans. It is not just for Africa. It is for humanity. And he displayed that in that Sokoto Declaration. If you didn't watch it, take your time to watch it. And we are still going to conduct a program on that. As I said before, today is not simply about looking back. It is about looking forward. It is about asking important questions. What did May 30th reveal? What lesson can be learned from the level of participation in this very May 30th that we just remembered? What lesson can be learned from the level of participation of the Biafrans? What challenges remains ahead? And what should supporters, observers, policymakers take away from the event that unfolded? Let's begin wherever you are watching from. I urge you to have a little bit patience with us in this program. Join from beginning to end. I bet you at the end of the day, you will never remain the same. Every nation, every people, and every community has moments in history that shape their identity. For many who identify with Biafran cause, May 30th represents day of remembrance. A day of remembrance. It is a day dedicated to those who lost their life during the Nigerian Civil War. It is a day when families remember loved ones. It is a day when supporters reflect upon history, discuss how that history continues to influence present-day reality. Regardless of political position, remembrance plays an important role in every society. Communities around the world remember wars, tragedies, and historic struggles. This act of remembrance serves as opportunity to preserve memory, honor sacrifice, reflect upon lessons from the past. This is why 30th May, an important date for many people, not merely because of politics, but because of history, because of memory, because of identity, and because of desire to ensure the future generation understands what previous generation experienced. We will never forget. And we will never allow them to change the narrative as they are fighting hard to do. Employing different kinds of actors, ranging from Gowon, who was the leader of the genocide, to the British, who were the sponsors, releasing different kinds of narrative to play down on the suffering and the atrocity that they committed in Biafra land. We will never allow them to do so. We will never allow them to do so. That is why we have to ensure that the future generation understand what previous generations experienced. Now that remembrance activities have concluded, many supporters are reflecting on what took place. We have just concluded. As much as we are still in the mood, even through, I am telling you, throughout the month, we are still going to be in that mood. We are still going to be in the mood. One observation repeatedly raised by supporters is the degree of participation witnessed in many communities. The degree of participation, including people who do not claim to be part of the agitation. Everybody was part of it. Both government officials and non-governmental organizations. It was a total lockdown, just as our Supreme Amazing Nandikano ordered. The entire Biafra land was shut down. We saw commentaries coming out from the Zoological Republic commentators. We saw people reporting from the Zoological Republic, people who don't have anything to do. They say they do not want to talk about it. But at a point in time, you will be forced to speak about Biafra, whether you don't want to talk about it or not. Biafrans were united and everybody participated. Everybody participated in this Remembrance Day. It is amazing. Many have described the events as evidence of continued commitments to remembrance activities. What you saw was a strong evidence, no doubt, a strong evidence of continued commitment to remembrance activities. No matter what Nigerian government is doing, if they like, they should scrape history from the brain of their own children, not with our own children. If they like, let them scrape history from the medulla oblongata of their people, not us. We will continue to keep the memory alive. Some say that participation as an indication that Biafra conversation remains active despite years of political controversy and public debate. The conversation of Biafra remains active, and you can never, it doesn't matter how you try, it doesn't matter under which umbrella you operate, you can't stop it. they turn out. They turn out on this very Remembrance Day. Demonstrate organization. What we saw, I just wish that we can hold on to this unity that we just see. What we saw in this Remembrance Day was organization, well organized, discipline, and collective commitment. And I am going to play a video of how the Biafran people in Biafra land gathered themselves in an open field with a prime minister elected among them in Biafra land. And the prime minister was issuing a statement on the remembrance of the heroes of Biafra. In Ohamadike State, precisely, in Ohamadike State. I am going to play that video before I end this very program so that you can see how committed and devoted our people are. This very Remembrance Day demonstrated organization, discipline, and collective commitment. But we know those who criticize us, they will interpret it differently. Those who hate our cause, who stand against us, will give their own interpretation differently. But regardless of perspectives, one fact remains very clear. The remembrance generated significant discussion. The Heroes' Day generated a significant discussion that they cannot run away from. It attracted attention both within and internationally. As we speak, there are international discussions going here and there. And it once again placed the question relating to history, identity, governance, self-determination into public conversation. That is what this Remembrance Day have just done. This Remembrance Day that we just passed, it placed again question relating to history, question related to identity, question related to governance, and question related to self-determination into public conversation. That alone makes the aftermath worthy of serious discussion. One of the most common message had during the aftermath remembrance period was the call for unity. The call for unity was so loud, it was so loud to Biafrans. Not just to Biafrans, it extended to other regions, the indigenous people in that contraction called Nigeria. The call for unity raised to the highest level. This was a cause. When you listen to the Sokoto declaration, this was a cause. Mazen Nandekano simply continued the course he was pursuing while he was with us. For some of you who was not paying attention, you wouldn't know. Mazen Nandekano succeeded, starting from Biafra land, to unify all the different dialects in Biafra land. They were speaking in one voice, in unity. We were very much united. He didn't stop. Mazen Nandekano extended to Oduduwa land. You can see the message I played. This message I played where he spoke about our unity with the Yoruba.